Take us through a bit of your thoughts and perhaps the idea of fear and the role that language is playing in that fear and stopping people experimenting in this space.
Yeah, well, there's a standard fear of jargon that people, a lot of people simply don't understand a lot of the conversation that people who live in this social media, social business type world, and they wouldn't even grasp that distinction of social media, social business. And then you get subsets of that, like to take the term social business, which a number of companies in the US now, a lot of and certain agencies are using, as if we all understand, and that it means something like social through the whole of business, the whole value chain, all your relationship with customers, with stakeholders, internally, how research and development is done. You know, this is a bit of this is a bigger concept, a more complex concept than social media, which a lot of people, I still see regularly, people on discussion forums who are marketers saying, social media is just another tool. Well, it may be for you, I'm not talking about you, Jamie, it may be for them, but it's bigger than that for me. It's a different way we communicate, and I use that political example from the Coney 2012 as an example that the world has changed through social, Egyptian, Arab Spring, etc. So whether people like it or not, the world has changed. So that's a whole discussion that is, I think, worthwhile having with clients, so that you see that, so they get to understand what some of us take for granted, that when we say social media, we're using shorthand for this new way of doing business. So then when you look at social business, the term, social terminology, social business, I treat that with care, because in Australia and in some other parts of the world, that means what I call loosely business for good. You know, Mohammed Yunus, Grameen Bank, Kiva, it's having a business enterprise, but it's not for profit.
For social good.
That's quite different from that other concept of social business. So we need to not be just talking code with one another if we want the rest of the world to understand there are great opportunities for them here. The fear is I'm going to get trapped by these hotshots who seem to know what all this language is about, and why Google Plus might be interesting for me or not, why, so what is a tweet? Things that we take for granted, and need to just check in with people to say, are you okay with this? Because, a lot of the baby boomers, especially, so we go back to financial planning, if you ask them, about Facebook, Twitter, they'll say, oh yeah. Of course they're going to say, yeah, especially the men, I find actually it's quite fascinating for me in the gender stereotypes. So many men who'll say, oh yeah, I understand all this. And so many women say, tell me about that, because they're more open to learning. Whereas the men feel it's a kind of sweeping generalization, but a lot of men seem to feel it's a kind of bit of a slight on them if they don't appear to know what's going on. But someone gave me the example years ago with technology development of saying to people, do you understand how computers work? If you say to a teenager, do you understand how this computer works? This was said years ago, and they say, yeah, sure, of course. It's a bit like asking teenage boys, do they know about sex? Say, yeah. So people don't want to admit that there's anything they don't know. And so that's where some people won't do anything for fear that they'll be found out to not know what's going on. Do you get that?
Definitely. And to kind of wrap it up, I want to make a transition from the idea of fear into that.
Can I just make one little point to that? And what I found people receptive to is to say, do some reverse mentoring. If you've got young people in your firm or anywhere in your social network, say, let's do a deal. I've got all these years of experience in business, in sales, whatever it is. I'll coach you, you coach me about what all this social network stuff is about. And people are responsive to that.
Well, from my own perspective, I don't know whether I've provided you with any value, Des, but
absolutely,
the value that I continue to get from you is incredible.
It's mutual.
The idea of fear and into trust. Now, you mentioned when we caught up last time that trust is going to have a big part to play. Whether it's someone asking, do you understand, the terms, the jargon of this area, through to making big calls and deciding to go social, if you will, in the process. Just a couple of your thoughts on the idea of trust in social business.
Well, there are a lot of people trying to find ways to establish people's uh, uh, reputation, reputation management, and have tools to measure that. But what I think is getting confused is the difference between reputation and popularity. And a lot of the tools are showing levels of popularity, numbers of retweets, numbers of fans on Facebook, etc. Whereas reputation is something uh, uh, gained with difficulty, lost with ease. And the reputation is for someone who can be trusted to say what. And you and I could probably exchange a number of names of people. Brian Solis would be one. I would trust. I mightn't agree with everything he says, but I trust him to give me what he clearly sees is up to date, and probably to tell me if there's someone else who's got another point of view. There are a whole lot of other people. Chris Brogan, is a trusted name in this field. Because Chris tells it as he sees it. Liz Strauss, there's a whole lot of people in the, people Deirdre Breckenridge, Lee Odden. There's a whole lot of people, and they are people that we trust. Now, the people who are going to have the long-term sustainable business in this field, I think, will develop that level of trust, not by pretending to be the know-all guru, but to be serious learners and sharers of what they know, and willing to tell people, to warn people of hazards, and to tell people if they think they're getting it wrong.
Coming full circle, as you said at the start of our discussion, we're all still learning, and we will continue to learn.
Sure.
As long as there's a brand new platform,
yes,
or a brand new idea, as long as there's another Pinstagram or a Pingram, as I saw today, we're all still going to be students.
People say to me, what do you think about this new platform? I say, I don't know, but I reckon there's probably a high number of students in garages and back rooms around the world who are developing a copy of that, or another version of that now, because it's a huge process of production, testing, experimentation, so on going on, as you and I know. And so I think the one other thing I would say is, in terms of trust, is I say, keep your initial forays into this field simple, and just use a few platforms and become very good at them before you start chasing every new platform and new tool that comes up.
No, well, it's excellent advice, and I'm sure it's advice that you're going to be giving the people in your brand new course. When are we expecting to see it?
Well, we're expecting to see it in April, Jamie, and it's going to be for. I'm open to I'm still just playing a little whether it's going to be financial planners or professional services companies, but I know the financial planners really need this, and I feel confident that I can, as somebody said in appreciation of the presentation I gave in Canberra for the financial planners, that they appreciate the fact that I'd walked in their shoes, which I was grateful for, because I had tried to do that. But that will be launched. Now you've got me really committing to this before the end of this month, to actually take off in April, and it'll be probably about a 12-week course. It'll be largely people can do home study, but there'll be interactive sort of webinar type events on with that as well.
Oh, fantastic. And from a B2B perspective, and having that interest in that sector, I'm going to be pretty fascinated to see it, so very much looking forward to it. And I'm extremely appreciative that you've taken the time this afternoon. It is afternoon here in Australia to chat to me. It really is a pleasure, and I continue to be absolutely blown away by how willing you are to share your thoughts with not only myself, but with everyone. So Des Walsh, you're at Des Walsh on Twitter. Where else can everyone find you?
Find me at my website, which is deswalsh.com, and there's a link there to my blog if you want to look at some of my opinionating there. And I'm generally findable on Google via the name Des Walsh.
Well, again, thank you, Des. And look, we might make this a regular thing, so I'm sure we'll be keeping in touch, and I'll post up when the site and the course goes live. So very much looking forward to it. I can have some vicarious experience of New York with you when you're doing that. Yes. Thank you again, Des Walsh, and I'm sure we'll be chatting again very soon. Thanks, Jamie. Bye, Des. Bye now.